We'll cross over to the Nat Heights where your regular host Roland Walker and Mama V Osayabuajo will bring you real-time updates of the Independence Day celebration here in Ghana, live and comprehensive from the Black Star Square in Accra. In the meantime, here in the studio, we'll take a look at the genesis, how it all began for Ghana. As far as independence is concerned, you do not want to miss this edition of the AM show. I'm on it. The entire squad is on it, and if you miss out, that's your problem. Wake up already and let's do the AM show.
The present boundaries of Ghana, enclosing an area of about 240,000 kilometers square and a population of 25 million, according to the 2010 Population and Housing Census, were carved out in stages from the 19th century by foreign powers when they began spreading their sphere of influence in Western Africa. Until the country's present frontiers took shape, the then Gold Coast comprised of many independent states and kingdoms ruled by kings, queens and powerful chiefs of the time, such as the likes of Osei Tutu of the Ashanti Kingdom, King Takiteria of the Ga States, among others. Through series of treaties of friendship and forced acquisitions, the independent states were merged as one territory under the British Emperor rule. In 1874, after a period of loose association with the people, the British formally proclaimed as a crown colony the southern part of the country to be referred to as the Gold Coast Colony. 2 years later, the British moved the headquarters of the Gold Coast from Cape Coast to Accra, which has since remained the capital. On January 1st, 1902, present-day Ashanti and then Western Ashanti, now known as Bonahafo region, and what became known as the Northern Protectorate, comprising of a greater part of present-day Northern and Upper regions, were annexed by the British as a crown colony and a protectorate territory respectively. After World War I, fought between 1914 and 1918,
withering German machine gun fire cut down the advancing troops with such precision that thousands died in the first 15 minutes of the battle. By nightfall, at the end of the first day, the British forces had made no substantial territorial gains, but the casualties had been horrific. 60,000 men had been killed or wounded in a matter of hours.
The western portion of the former German colony of Togoland was relinquished to the British under the mandate of the League of Nations and became the Trans-Volta Togoland. As the European imperialism grew in the country from the 19th century onwards, patriots such as King Agri of Cape Coast, John Mensah Saba, Joseph Kesley Hayford, Kwabena Sechi, among others, emerged to claim the ancestral rights of the people. Later apostles like Dr. J.B. Dankwa and Kwame Nkrumah, with youth groups like the youth movements, became the forerunners of an effective nationwide fight, which eventually ended British rule with the attainment of independence at the stroke of midnight on 6th March 1957.
Ended. And thus, Ghana, your beloved country, is free forever.
A new nation, full of prospects and enthusiasm, called Ghana was born. But will this newborn succeed in her quest?
Now I want you all, those who have hats on, to take off your hats and let the band play our national anthem. And from now on, that national anthem is the national anthem of the Gogo to be played on all occasions.
So that is how it all started for us 57 years ago when we made history. And today we will stand tall when the national anthem is played. But thank you very much, Mama V and Roland, for the newspaper headlines. It's time to get some action already. Nia Kofi Smatabe is stationed at the Independent Square, and he's bringing us up to speed. You saw the Jama and all the action that was going on in anticipation of the of the event itself. So let's go back and join Nia Kofi Smatabe and take a listen, have a feel of what's happening. Let's go now.
Okay, thank you very much, Kemini. And this is live pictures from the Independence Square, and well, already it's just some few minutes past 7, and already the contingents from the various agencies and the schools have started arriving. I'm here with my colleague Emmanuel, who I'll be chatting with in a while to find out. We've been here for a little over an hour, and what is your impression so far of what's happening here?
Well, I'm very much impressed. You know, it brings back old feelings, old memories when we were young and we wanted to join this particular. I remember in class 4 when I was first dropped, I was initially part of the contingency that was set up to come and do this particular thing. But along the line, they thought I was too fragile to come and do such a thing, and so I was dropped. And I remember crying all the way from the school to the house. My mom had to console me all day long. You know, it's a very good feeling. And looking at even the special kids that are being brought, I mean, it's so wonderful. The way they are dressed, the way they are composed, and all that. I mean, it's very, very, very wonderful. I mean, you go around you see a lot of food vending and then other things that have been set up just to make the children feel comfortable. Initially, at first, when we used to do this, I mean, you did not see these things. And people, the kids start collapsing and all that. But this time, I think they are much prepared for any eventualities, man.
Okay, you might try and get to some of the children so we can speak to, but of course, like you said, it brings back nostalgic memories. I remember when I came to march here at the Independence Square. That was, I think, about 16 years ago. Yes, exactly. I did a calculation. That was 16 years ago. And of course, the feeling was great then. That was when we had lots of contingents, a bigger number of contingents than we do have now today. But of course, today, as you can see behind behind me, a contingent from the Customs Excise and Preventive Service, SEFS, the division of GRA. They are currently in what we call parade terms morale. They are charging up for the parade that is likely to happen in about, I suppose, in a little over an hour or less from now. So the SEPS contingent is here. The police are also here. We also have personnel from the Ghana Air Force. I've seen some from the Ghana Army. I've also seen some naval officials around. Of course, the school children are also arriving in their numbers. We've had some second side institutions, schools also arrive already. And just behind me, we have some students from one of the special schools in Accra, also a contingent representing. They'll be taking part in the parade this morning. We also have a contingent from the Immigration Service. It's a colorful atmosphere here at the Independence Square, or Black Star Square. Lots of activities going on. And then also we have some of the contingents also. Okay, I have some children here from one of the special schools. I'll speak to them briefly so that I find out what their impressions are. Tell me your name and where you're coming from.
My name is Alfred Amakumensa. I come from New Horizon Special School.
Okay, Alfred, you are from New Horizon, and your name? Okay, so tell me, first of all, how do you feel like being part of today's ceremony?
Because of the Ghana 57th birthday of Ghana.
And how is the feeling like? Are you excited to be part of it?
Yes, I'm excited to be part of it.
Okay, and for you as well, what's the feeling like being here this morning?
This morning is fun. This morning, Ghana is Ghana 50. Ghana is fun, and we enjoy it.
Okay, and what does it mean for you that today Ghana is 57 years?
So that is when we come on time. It's when we come on, we die for there, and we can't independence.
Okay. And Alfred, for you as well, what does it mean for you that today Ghana is 57 years?
Because Kwame give us independence for Ghana, and open many factories in Ghana. The Akosubon Dam and the Kumasi shoe factory, and lot of the cocoa processing company in Tema, and Kingsway stores, and a lot of things.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much, Alfred, and thank you too. Let me speak to your other colleagues who are here. And what's your name?
My name is Eric Papo.
Derek.
Eric.
Eric. Okay.
Yeah.
And your name?
My name is George.
George. Okay. How do you feel like being part of the independence celebration today?
I feel like be happy. I'm happy. I'm here. Yeah.
And you?
Me too. Like this. Really happy.
And also, have you been prepared what to do and how to protect yourself so that you do not collapse on the parade grounds?
Yeah. We are prepared already.
You are prepared?
Yeah.
What did they tell you to do?
They say that we should push somebody. You push somebody, the person will fall down, it will clear up. Yeah. That's good.
And how about you?
Yeah.
What have you been told to do so that you do not collapse?
You should stand correctly on the yes. Yeah, you should don't fall down. You should stand on the parade. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Derek and George. And okay, so I've been speaking to some students from New Horizon Special School. Kemini, let's let's go back to Kemini in the studio for a while, but I do have some children here as well from the Ayawaso East Sub-Metro schools. I'll be speaking to them in a bit, but for now, back to you, Kemini, in the studio.
Yes, I am. I will be talking to Gifty Ando Apia, who is stationed in Tamale. She brings us up to speed what the celebration is like. It's a big day for Ghana. Hello, Gifty. Right, so you see some live visuals already from Tamale, and pretty shortly Gifty will bring us up to speed exactly what is happening. And it's a big day for us, and it's a special edition of the Independence Day coverage on the AM show. I told you the entire newsroom team is on this beat. We're working to make it happen on the AM show. We'll bring you real-time updates of the event itself in Accra, in Tamale, across the rest of the region, in the eastern region and the western region. So from north to south, we have the country covered as far as the celebration is concerned. And pretty shortly, Gifty Ando Apia is joining us with an update on the Tamale celebration, which, by the way, you're seeing live feed already on your screen. Look at the school children. Very nostalgic. I remember my primary school days. Right, so let's talk to Gifty now. Hello, Gifty. Right, so if you're watching us from your home, you're seeing live pictures from Tamale. That is Independence Day being marked in Tamale. Those school children all lined up. Looks beautiful. They're ready to march for the country. You recall that in Ghana, for 57 years, this is what we have been doing. Some of you have been sharing your thoughts on the parade during the Independence Day celebration, and you have interesting thoughts of that. While we wait for Gifty to bring us up to speed what's happening, I'd love to share some of those thoughts on the celebration with you. But look at the security forces. I believe that is the cadets. And
we have the men ready. We have men from the Ghana National Fire Service. We have men from the Ghana Police Service. We have men from the military, and they're all set up now. The contingent is ready, and they're about to move. If you look on my left right now, we see a lot of school children ready to perform as well. I can see the Methodist Experiment School from Tamale and some other schools that have been lined up. They will try and get closer to some of them and talk to them. What are their expectations? What really does independence mean for them? Do they feel proud as Ghanaian people? So you want to stick to us? Stay right here on Joynews. We're coming to you, remember, live from Tamale.
right, and so when she's ready with that update, we'll go back to Tamale. It's a beautiful Thursday in Ghana, and if you're Ghanaian anywhere else in the world, I'm sure you're so proud to be Ghanaian now. But the discussions are not heights continue. Let's join Roland Walker and Mama Viuizu Abuaje from the Independence Avenue. From the Independence Avenue. From the Independence Avenue.
Well, thank you, Kemini, and that is what we're giving you today. Complete package for you. We have Gifty Ando Apia, who currently is in Tamale, and all that very introduction by Kemini gives you what the comprehensive package is, what we want to give you by way of information, and what also is taking place at the Independence Square. We all will bring to you on this very program, the special edition of the AM show, and it is an out studio edition we're having today. Now, again, my guests are still with me, Kwabna Minta and Akando, Member of Parliament for Dwaboso, and also Member of Parliament for Brukum East, Dr. Chunyama. So we're talking about how critical is it that we need to make sure that we have the right political leadership, because from what Dr. Nyama said, the political leadership is at the fulcrum of whatever will drive development.
Yeah, Roland, I agree with you to a large extent. That look.
So if you are being blamed, you
no,
shouldn't think that
I take criticism. I mean, wholeheartedly. If you refuse to take criticism, you won't go forward. But the point I was making is that, irrespective of the fact that we vote or we put leaders there to lead the way, and they are supposed to do what they are expected to do. Look, before, and that is why they are able to identify, let's say, there's absenteeism in the system. Before they even identify absenteeism, the person has already caused the harm to the system. So, if you want to be patriotic, and that is what we need, that's the element, that is what I'm talking about. If we want to ask ourselves what we can do for Mother Ghana, you don't need somebody to chase you before you do the right thing. You see, in as much as you have the guts to criticize or yes, of course, to criticize your leaders, you should also, when you are going to equity, you must go with clean hands as people. So we always have to ask ourselves what we can really do for Mother Ghana. And you ask a very interesting question, that what can we do going forward? What should we concentrate on in order to develop this country? I agree that education is one of the most important things to look at. But as a country, our potentials are largely based on agriculture. If we all focus on agriculture, I think that we can grow faster than we are doing at the moment. We have to be of ourselves and stop copying blindly that we want to do everything at a time. If we think that we can dwell much on agriculture to develop this country, so be it. Look, the strength of the currency and what have you, this brouhaha has to do with what we import into this country. And it is interesting to note that our gold, cocoa, bauxite, and what have you, what we earn from outside country, the foreign exchange, we end up pumping that same amount of money, even more than that, into importing rice, oil, and what have you. So if we will decide to concentrate on agriculture, we will have to, plant or grow what we will eat, and even at the point in time, exporting some. It will end as foreign income or foreign exchange, and at the same time, save our currency from depreciation. So, you see, we all have to develop interest in it. Coming from where I am coming from, irrespective of your status in the community, you should all at least a farm. I am a farmer, you understand? So we should all conscientize ourselves to develop that kind of interest in farming. You see a student or somebody goes to a tertiary institution, studies at break, and he comes back and he wants to enter into a different field. I'm not saying that is bad, but what happens to the sector, agriculture? And of course, that is where we have most of our potentials. So I think that going forward, these are some of the things we will have to identify. Not leaving, because even before you develop the agriculture sector, you still have to educate people. Not leaving education, at the background. But I think that if Ghana is supposed to be a patient and I have to diagnose Ghana, I think that the problem has to do with the less, concentration we are giving to agriculture sector.
I guess all the political parties don't speak different language. The languages are all the same. He feels that the priority should be agriculture, and the focus has always been education for the MPP and the other political parties as well, building the needed human resource to build their capacity enough for them to become very influential and maximize whatever the returns will be for agriculture and the other sectors, so to speak. The point is, how do we make sure we build consensus on the social, political, economic front?
I think one of the main ways of ensuring consensus is that we need to be frank, honest with ourselves and with each other. There's a bit of cynicism in the air because of the way it's like we don't really lean on principles. We shift the goalposts here and there. So it's like everybody is trying to scheme each other. I think as a people, we need to be sincere with each other and then, come to the table with, so to speak, clean hands, think about issues dispassionately. And I believe as we've all agreed that we more or less have a common destiny, we have a similar vision. It's just the approaches. If we all discuss issues dispassionately in an honest atmosphere, this type of mistrust and cynicism that has characterized our discourse over the years will tone down. I mean, we all know that in a multi-party democracy, you can't agree on all the issues, but at least we should have a common ground on a lot of the very important issues as regards education, agriculture, as he's saying, so that at least, I mean, everybody outside the country will know that this is the focus of the country. It doesn't matter which party or which leader is in power, they will still be singing the same tune. Definitely there may be some other areas that will have to differ. I mean, that will try to show that this is a different government from the other. But generally, we should have a common, approach. But I guess, as a young man, I feel that it's because of the cynicism, people do not actually lean on to principle. We always want to, scheme each other, and then it really muddies the waters. And then whenever you are even frank, because of previous experiences, your colleague may think you are still trying to scheme, and it doesn't inure to the benefit of us agreeing on a lot of the issues. And we've gone back and forth. We've seen people changing their positions over the years. We may complain against an issue, and then the next time we are trumpeting it, with the loud voice. I mean, what has changed? I mean, it's not limited to one side. So I think we need to decide that once something is good, it doesn't matter if it's not coming from you. Let us, applaud it.
The point is, how do we decide that? Do we undertake perhaps or convene a forum where all political leaders then come to a consensus or undertake or sign a memoranda or something of the sort? That's in to show that sort of non-polarity and that level of unity, and say this is the agreement we all come to, no matter how divisive an issue is, or divisive a campaign has been, or divisive our own perceptions have been. We still would want to agree on certain key issues that we feel that will be the principle.
I think we've gone through this road before. I feel that the only way we can insist on this is for Ghanaians to actually punish politicians who do not hold on to their principles, so that those who are coming up will realize that Ghana is not a country where people are allowed to, change their positions and not really insist on what they believe in. When we do this over a time, people realize that you need to be consistent with whatever you believe in. So when he realizes that an issue is on the table and then he thinks it's good, he may not want to oppose it earlier and then hope that in future he will change his position, because he knows that once he takes a particular stand, Ghanaians will hold him on to that stand and will punish him if they realize that he's changing his position and not being honest with Ghanaians that maybe I was not privy to all the information initially and all that. When we do this over time, I think we will have a common ground in a lot of the issues.
And as you can see on your screens, officials at the Independence Square, that is the dignitaries who have been invited, now have started arriving, and many of them will continue to arrive until the main event commences. But more importantly, as many of these political leaders come onto the dais and many of them take their seat, what is paramount, Mr. Kando, is that Ghana needs to move forward, because even Ghana's first president, Dr. Nkrumah, was very emphatic about that. He says nobody looks to the west, nobody looks to the east. The point is that you always point your compass upwards, heading towards a certain direction. Do you think that we can build the platform to head into that very direction?
Yeah, Roland, I am tempted to agree with the school of thought that suggests that, look, there should be a common development policy, if you like, document that we should have as a country, that every political party will, look at it and draft your manifesto out of it. So probably the ways or the means of achieving that particular goal in the universal development policy is what may change. But at the end of the day, we all head towards... Do you think that will come to fruition? Because in this country, we've seen visions that have been pegged at year 2020, and one vision that has been pegged at year 2015. Just the next year,
and we don't seem to have achieved 50% of whatever the objectives have been in the document.
Yeah, there's a difficulty, though, I will agree with you, but that is the essence of elections. You understand? This is what you say you will do. This is the universal document. We are all going in that direction. So you have been given a mandate for 4 years. What have you been able to do? At the end of the day, we leave it to Ghanaians to decide whether to give you the mandate to continue or not.
The vision.
Of course, or not. Where you have gotten to, if Ghanaians think that, oh, he has gotten so far, let's give him the opportunity to continue. And there is a very fundamental thing that I can describe as a canker that is eating us up,
which is
all the political parties. If you are not in power, you understand, and then there's a particular government in power, we are partners in development, irrespective of the criticisms. We should always have something on the table. You don't just criticize and fold your arms, that because I'm not in power, I am supposed to criticize. So whatever, whether good or bad, you will criticize. You see, but it is interesting, when we are in opposition, whatever we criticize, when we come to power, we seem to continue that particular policy or that particular agenda, we pursue it. And that is what I think is eating us up. So I agree with him. If you are a political party or you are a leader and you are not consistent, consistency is very, very, very important. So the electorate must always hold us accountable. Of course, it is always subjected to explanations. Probably because, you see, people have made up their mind to listen to a particular tune. Irrespective of your explanation, the person may not listen. Those people, we can leave them behind. But as much as possible, we must be objective. If you think that you are going for one, you have to explain as much as possible why you are going for one, why you don't want to go for one. You understand? So at the end of the day, if you are not able to achieve that, the people of Ghana will ask you, will hold you accountable. So at the end of the day, people will not take us for granted as a people. You understand? And then, if before you come into the scene, you assess yourself. Before you come and ask the mandate of the people, whether be it your constituency or the whole country, you assess yourself whether you are capable of doing what you say you want to do. And then, more importantly, whatever you say you will do must be realistic. Not because you want to promise heaven and earth, then whatever comes into mind, because Ghanaians want it, and given the environment or the situation, it is not possible, you will promise. So the people will also have the opportunity to subject that particular promise to scrutiny.
Well, that goes to all the top political parties. And we know that the NPP and the NDC are the top political parties. What he's talking about dovetails into the early submission you made about how leadership also needs to carry the people along. How do we have our political leaders carrying Ghanaians along, irrespective of which party they are from?
I think, by and large, most of us followers have been just following our leaders. We do not really scrutinize some of the issues they bring up. I mean, it is easier said than done. We need to hold them on to their word and ensure that they actually explain how. The how for most of the issues are very important. But we tend to spend very little time on the how. We always want to hear what, I'll do this, I'll do that. But how we're going to do them, which are the main issues we should be concerned with, are not really given a lot of attention. And so the person will just tell you, I'll do this, you are happy, okay, you give him or her the mandate. Sometimes even, not even the political leadership, at, organizational level, MDAs, somebody comes in, I'll do this, I'll do that. And he has not really taken his time to really appraise himself on the issue to ensure that he'll be able to achieve that. He just gives you some of these promises, and at the end of the day, nothing happens. But the next time he comes in and he even gives you more juicier, promises than he used to give. And still we expect him to do more. So I think we need to insist on the house, and it will stop some of these things and then make sure we have the business-like attitude in the way we undertake our activities.
Okay, activities are still ongoing, initial stages as the events commence at the Independence Square here in Accra, where we have the official celebration of Ghana's 57th anniversary independence, and it is themed building a better Ghana in patriotism and unity, just around those very themes. How do we make sure that we build a certain consensus we are very patriotic and very nationalistic. Well, we have to go back to the studio. Kemini is ready, and we have a lot more correspondents around that we want to link up to.
Right, thank you very much, Roland. Yes, we're still here in the studio. It's a special edition of the AM show as Ghana marks its Independence Day. We've been asking a question on social media, Facebook particularly, and we've been asking, what has the impact of independence been on higher education? Sylvester K. Mensa says, Ghana produces most of its graduates, but still there is room for improvement. Jerry Yopon Educhum Maron is asking, it's a standstill education. Meanwhile, Amos Agbenyefia says, better Ghana, only better Ghana. Abdul Kudu says, quality education. Nana Kata Ankwada says, theoretical studies with no practicals, a lot of engineers, but lack of creativity and innovation. Example, well, he's given an example of what he's saying. But most importantly, it's Independence Day here in Ghana, 57 years of it. We are happy to be independent of colonial rule, and this day, the Independence Square in Ghana is packed with the security services, several people from all walks of life, including school children and some workers as well. Pretty shortly, the big event itself will begin at the Black Star Square. But if you've been watching the AM show, I'm sure you've seen that we've been to Tamale, and that is what it's going to be over the next few hours. We'll go across the region, bring you real-time updates as to what the event is like across the country. Right now, let's go back to the Independence Square and join Nia Krofi Smart Abe with an update. Or better still, I understand he's not ready, and so we'll take a quick break. I'm happy you stayed on the special edition of the AM show. We'll link up straight to the Independence Square to join Nia Krofi Smart Abe, bring us up to speed what is happening in wake of the parade.
Welcome back again to the Independence Square, or the Black Star Square in Accra. Already the parade is getting ready to start. What is happening right now at the Independence Square is that the contingent made up of men and women from the security services, as well as some school children from basic education level, as well as second cycle institutions, are gradually taking their positions on the parade grounds now. We've had some dignitaries arrive already, and there's already some applause for the school children as they also take their positions on the parade grounds. The security services also got their share of the cheers and applause when they marched onto the grounds. Right now, we're waiting for them to settle on the parade grounds, and then we've had many dignitaries arrive, including former President Kufuor. We've also had the Vice President Pakwesi Bekwemi Saata arrive. Right now, we're waiting for President John Dramani Mahama to arrive, as well as the Guinean President Alpha Condé, who is the special guest of honor. We are waiting for them to arrive at the parade grounds, and then when they arrive, of course, as is routine, the President will inspect the contingents on the parade grounds. Will then be getting ready and closer to see the parade proper start here at the Independence Square. It looks like there's a much slimmer number this year as compared to the previous numbers we've seen at this Independence Day parade. Fortunately for us also on the grounds today, the sun is not too high. We have a bit of overcast, cloudy overcast around the Independence Square area, and I believe in the entire Accra today. So hopefully the contingents should be able to fare better, because usually when the sun is that scorchy, that's when we see lots of dehydration and then people tend to collapse. But with a fairly good weather, cool one at that, I'm sure we should have an incident-free parade. And then also we'll see things move smoothly here at the Independence Square. Commands are still being given to the contingents on the parade, who have now had to face some of them had to do right and others had to do left and to face the days proper. Of course, there are some foreign dignitaries as well around. There are expatriate tourists who on their own have made their way to the Independence Square, and the stands are gradually filling up as compared to around 6 o'clock when we got to the Independence Square. So shortly the contingents are dressing up their lines just to be sure that their lines are in order, and then of course we'll be expecting the president to arrive shortly here at the Independence Square. Once the president arrives, as I said earlier, then the inspection of the contingents will follow. The lighting of the perpetual flame will also be done, and then of course we can expect the parade itself to start in earnest here at the Independence Square, or Black Star Square in Accra. So that's what's happening so far here at the Independence Square. Back to you in the studio, Kemini.
Thank you very much, Nee, for that quick update. Nicely and neatly lined up for the parade. I believe it started already. Wasn't it beautiful? I'm sure you saw it. But it's time. Thank you very much, Roland, with AM Talk. And as I'll continue, but I'll share some of your messages with you first. After we asked, in real terms, if you're 57 years and you're working, it means you have 3 years to go on retirement. What would you have achieved at age 57? And we're comparing that with Ghana's journey so far. And here Adoteyemo thinks that the question we should rather ask ourselves is where we want to see our country in the next 43 years. Akwesi Apia Kubi says we haven't achieved anything yet. And Kofi Treme Steven says, I don't like your comment, Kofi. And Fort Don Rogers at Windsor says we can only boast of our peace, which is best, isn't it? Rukaya Kaji says we have achieved corruption, unemployment, high cost of living, depreciation of the city, armed robbery, and high utility tariff. Immaculate Edutrum says, Immaculate, I don't appreciate that. Let's get serious. Abdul Razak says, we have teacher trainee allowance cancellation. Arind of Sapo is Ghana is 57, but I'm not. Ricardo Crane says we've got a lot of things we can boast of, but not using any of those resources to our benefit. Right, but in the meantime, on your screens are some live visuals from the Black Star Square in Accra. And I believe that is the president arriving for the Independence Day celebration. Right, pretty shortly we'll link up with my colleague Nia Kofi Smatabe, who will bring us up to speed what is happening. He'll tell us how important this is, what the president is expected to do today. While you look at those live pictures on your screen, let me share some messages with you. NSAPIA Fuaka says Ghana will retire without pension pay because greedy children, the politicians, he says, have eaten the meat to the bone. I'm sorry for you, Mother Ghana. Aminu Sandugu says a democratic country, a peaceful country, a country we are all proud of, and God bless Ghana as we celebrate our 57th independence anniversary. President John Dramani Mahama has arrived at the Black Star Square, and pretty shortly Nia Kofi Smatabe will join us live from there and explain to us what that means, what President Mahama is expected to do. But on Facebook, Amenakpo Davido is wondering why there is nothing in the Volta region, but we are the head. Georgia Kwat Morgan says, really sad. Can you imagine the public sector in this country? Can you imagine the public sector in this country is the most unproductive? A big shame we still talk about Nkrumah because he had a vision. If you just tune in, you're watching a special edition of the AM show. There's an outbroadcast bit of the show from the Nut Heights Independence Avenue, where your regular hosts, Mama Vio Uso Abuaje and Roland Walker, are holding it down for the AM show. In the studio, meanwhile, my name is Kemini Nyamaniam, and I'm holding this bit of the show. Across the regions in Tamale, we have Gifty Ando Apia at the Black Star Square, where the president is currently made his way to for the big event. There is Ni Akrofi Smart Abbey. But on Facebook, some of you have been sharing your thoughts with us, and Yaya Umar says, we've achieved corruption, joblessness, and poverty. Why is Apu Siga? Oh, there he is, President John Mahama, beautifully dressed in his smock, taking up his stage. And then you understand, you know what that means. The big parade is about to start. You don't want to miss a second of the event, and that's why you would have to stay on Joynews, on multi-TV, and this is a special edition of the AM show. Neatly lined up from the security services. And there, the coat of arms, freedom and justice, it says. Right, so President John Dramani Mahama and First Lady Lodina Mahama and a short seconds ago. It's a big day here in Ghana, the 57th independence celebration. But on a big day like this, you want to listen to the national anthem. Let's take a listen.
Shall please remain standing before the national anthem.
Faithful and loyal Ghana, my mother. I pledge myself to the service of Ghana with all my strength and with all my heart. I promise to hold in high esteem our heritage won for us through the blood and toil of our fathers, and I pledge myself in all things to uphold and defend the good name of Ghana, so help me God.
Shall we please be seated?
Pride! Turn! Back!
To commence this morning's activities, we shall have the Christian and Muslim prayers for a successful anniversary. The Christian prayers will be done by the Director of Religious Affairs of the Ghana Armed Forces, Colonel David Bansibu, and the Muslim prayers by the Chief Imam of the Ghana Armed Forces, Wing Commander Muhammad Kabil Abdul Rafiu.
Let's join Roland Walker and Mama Biuso Abuaje live from the Nat Heights Independence Avenue. Independence Avenue.
Thanks a lot to you, Kemini, who is in the studio. Now, we know that the 57th Independence Day Parade is underway at the Independence Square. We keep one eye on that, and then we'll bring you up to date with what's happening there. But right now, just imagine, think widely, if Ghana was a human being and was working in the public service, Ghana is 57 today, so that person is 57. It means that we would have 3 years to go on retirement if Ghana was in the public service. We're saying, is Ghana ready to go on retirement in the next 3 years? What do you think? Well, my guest is the president of the Ghana Writers Association. He's also a member of the Ghana Media Commission, Mr. Kwesi Jan Apinting. Good morning to you. Happy Independence anniversary.
Good morning. Thank you very much.
So if we have 3 years to go on retirement, what sort of package would we be going home to?
The concept of Ghana going on retirement is rather amusing. Well, in my view, 57 for a nation. Of course, I understand what you're saying, but it's quite different from who a person would be at 57. Let me explain. In terms of nations, 57 is like infant. It's learning to crawl. So Ghana at 57 years, if Ghana was a human being, Ghana would have 3 years to go before retiring from the public service. But as a nation, we are now learning to crawl. Consider this.
How long have we been learning to crawl?
Oh, it takes a long time. Look at other nations. First of all, the idea of Ghana as a nation only started with independence because we were different people thrown together by the Brits in the same territory, and then we started our lives as a nation state.
That was some 57
years ago. I mean, let me give you an example. Take the British, or the English to be more precise, gave themselves the Magna Carta in 1215 AD. And they're still struggling with issues of rights. So, in terms of...
Not as much as we are. But, I mean, can we look at the example of Malaysia? Because that's one country that a lot of people talk about.
Yeah. Look at other countries that seemingly were at par with Ghana 57 years ago. And many of them have advanced to at different stages. There are others that we're independent with that we are better than anyway. We've done some things right. We've done some things in the wrong way. So at 57, probably as an infant nation still, we have the opportunity to reset. You know, I wrote recently in one of my columns, I think, that we need a reset Ghana. Let us look back and say...
A reset.
Let's reset.
Is this to say wipe out everything else that we've achieved and then...
We can't wipe out. Let us... You know, what has happened in the last few years is that in the frenetic politics of the NDC-MPP era, there's very little reflection. Everything is based on what will happen in 4 years. And you know, after the first, second year, the third year, the politics begins. So, and even so, we are on a 24-hour political propaganda cycle. So we are not reflecting. What I'm saying is that let's use this occasion, 57 going forth. The reset I'm talking about is not that you wipe everything. No, you can't. It's not possible. Let's build on what we can build on. Let's reform where we must reform. Let's review where we must review. Because we still have the opportunity.
If we're taking today to reflect, what would we exactly be reflecting on?
What we'll be reflecting on is a country that had a huge promise at birth, that has lost its way at many junctions, but still holding together and still has the prospects, the potential to go forward. Because you see, think about it this way. Look at the countries surrounding us. I'm not saying their misfortune should make us shine, but at least reflect on why we are still a nation, we are still one Ghana. We've not had a civil war, we've not fractured. Despite the efforts of some people to get us to do so, we haven't done so.
Okay, so can I just take it that your core message today as we celebrate our 57 years is for us to take time and reflect. Would love to have you in studio to have a longer conversation with you, because I love the perspective that you're bringing into this. But we have to end it here, Mr. Apente. We'll continue this conversation. Stay with us right here on the AM show.
Thank you very much, Roland and Mama V. But while the AM show is over, the special coverage of the Independence Day is still on here at Joynews. Right now, we are crossing over to Tamale. Join Gifty and Apia from the celebration grounds in Tamale. Right, just before we link up to Tamale, it's heated down here in Accra at the Black Star Square, where the big event itself is taking place. You're seeing live pictures from the Black Star Square, a group of young people dancing their hats out as we mark our 57th year after independence.
The dance you're witnessing right now is the African dance by the Anglo-Evers of the Volta region. And this is being performed by pupils of Vision Seed Academy in La. The proprietor of the school is Mr. Osabute. Choreography of this piece was done by Freeman Aguri, Director of Cultural Education Programs at the Ghana Education Service Headquarters. He was assisted by Dominic Ando, Ablekuma Sub-Metro Cultural Coordinator. This is the 57th Independence Anniversary Parade coming to you live on GTV. We are also on GTV Govern as well as GBC 24.
Ladies and gentlemen, as you see, we have this armed team representing Ghana. Shall we give them a big round of applause? Congratulations to those from Vision Seed Academy at last. Well done. Well done.
They just formed the letter G representing Ghana to show their patriotism to their lovely nation, Ghana.
So you just witnessed the dance, the Agbeko dance by the Anglo-Evers of the Volta region, as well as the One dance, which is a dance by the Napdam-speaking people of the Upper East region. Next, we'll have the president, who will be accompanied by the CDS and the IGP, as well as the parade commander and the FSM to inspect contingents and lights perpetual flame trooping of the band. Can you tell us how this is done? And what the significance is? Inspection of the contingents and the lighting of the perpetual flame.
The president, who is the commander-in-chief of the Ghana Armed Forces, has the duty to inspect the parade before they march past, and he will be doing that accompanied by the Chief of the Defense Staff, Vice Admiral Matthew Kwashi, and the Inspector General of Police, Mr. Mohammed Ahmed Al-Hassan. They will be accompanied also by the Forces Sergeant Major in the person of Chief Warrant Officer Owusu Dixon.
For many of us here at the Black Star Square in Accra, the clouds are getting thicker by the minute. However, the parade continues.
After the inspection of the parade, the president will move to the cenotaph of the unknown soldier to light the flame. Lighting of the flame is a symbol of the spirit of independence. It reminds us of our responsibility to keep the spirit alive. And this morning, as the pot under the symbolic black star will glow with the flame, it is hoped that we will rekindle our flame of nationalism in unity and peace, which are the pillars for development. The tomb of the unknown soldier refers to a monument in dedication to the services of an unidentified soldier killed in any war. Throughout history, many soldiers have died in wars with their remains unidentified. So such a tomb is put in place as a form of remembering these matters. At the background, we can hear the voice of the parade commander, who is reporting to the president and inviting him to inspect the parade.
So the commander-in-chief of the Ghana Armed Forces.
Yukashi, and the Inspector General of Police, Mr. Mohammed Ahmed Al-Hassan.
Welcome back to the Independence Square. It's a very cloudy, and it just started raining at the Independence Square, where we are expecting President Mahama to start inspecting the contingent on the parade ground. Okay, I have to take off my glasses now because I really can't see anything. It's still windy here at the Independence Square, and the program is still ongoing. President Mahama has just mounted a vehicle that he'll be using to inspect the parade, and the contingents are still on the parade grounds in the rain. President Mahama is also about to just inspect them in the rain as well, and I am also standing in the rain giving you the updates on what's happening at the Independence Square. And let me just try to walk you through the program that we have for the morning quickly before the rain gets to soak my paper entirely. We're expecting the president to inspect the guard of honor, after which we'll expect the trooping of the band. Once the band troops, the march past will begin. And if you can hear some roar from the stands, it is the fans or the spectators here cheering the president on as he drives through the rain to inspect the contingents that have mounted the parade here at the 57th Independence Anniversary at the Independence Square in Accra. Once it's done inspecting the parade or the contingent, we'll expect the trooping of the band, and then the march past proper will begin, after which we'll have a review.
Pretty shortly, we'll take you back there, and then you'd see for yourself as the president inspects the lineup of those to take part in the parade. But it started raining. Perhaps it's the show of blessing for the country. For the many more years we will have it with us. For the many more years we would have life. But we are back to the Black Star Square. The president is still inspecting. He's defied the rain and he's inspecting the lineup. Is Isn't that beautiful? And that is the Commander-in-Chief.
The date, and of course the crowd are still cheering the president on here at the Independence Square in Accra. And just let me move a bit further from where I am to see what he's doing. Okay, the president is about to light the perpetual flame. Okay, he just lit the perpetual flame in the rain, and the perpetual flame is still lit. And of course that's arousing applause here at the Independence.
So the president is defying the rain and has gone through the lineup. Hopefully the children wouldn't have to stay on the rain for too long. But this is the Independence Day coverage. And unfortunately the video is gone. But I'm afraid for the president. The smoke would get terribly heavy after being on the rain. But let's look at Independence Day. Like, the day the announcement itself happened.
That's right.
What was the feeling?
The day it happened.
The day it happened.
Fortunately, I was at the polo ground.
I see. and what was it like for you?
Oh, we were so many there. We were so many there. We used to go and learn how to ride bicycles at the polo ground.
Mm.
And when
how old were you by then?
I was how many years old? I think about 20. About 20, 18.
Right.
Yes.
And so, what did it mean to you as a young man?
Oh, it was quite a relief and a joy to know that somebody was ruling you, and now he has given in for you to be ruled, or for you to rule yourself, or for you to be ruled by your own people. And Nkrumah did not mean any words, you know. He just went straight to the point that the black man can rule himself.
And for you, what future did you see at the point when Nkrumah had taken the podium and said, this is the new Ghana, this is the independence, our independence, the very popular bit of his speech that our independence means nothing until the total liberation of the continent?
Yes, I mean, we were all so happy, so overwhelmed. Because we saw all these people who were in prison now having their smokes on with their caps, prison caps they call them, and then waving, and we all were feeling that a new era has come for us. And some of us were in secondary school.
Right.
I was in Form 5. And we thought that, yes, it has come to the time that, anyway, the British should go and we should rule ourselves.
I see. So what sort of future did you see at the point that you knew that the British were going for good? What sort of future did you see for you and for Ghana?
A bright future. A bright future. Very, very bright future. For me, happened to be
right. Doc, I'm going to have you share that with us in a bit. But let's cross over to Tamale now and find out if it's the same weather across the country. Good tea.
Celebration. Independence celebration is ongoing, and as you can see in my background, there is what we call the trooping of the band. We understand from here that there is heavy rain in Accra. Over here, as you can see, it is really sunny, and some of us are gasping for breath because it is really, really, really hot. And that is why we recommend the security service personnel who are currently doing their thing in the sun for the good work that they're doing. Well, we've already started the program on the high seat. We have seated the regional minister, Zedin, has taken his seat, and he's already inspected the contingents that we have here. Let me quickly take you through the people that we have. We have 8 contingents from all the security services. We have people from the Air Force, we have people from the Ghana Armed Forces, we have people from the Ghana National Fire Service. Of course, we have the police service. We also have the immigration service and the armed forces. This is the slow part of the trooping of the band, if I may say it. I'm sure there is a rather more technical word for it. We'll get it as soon as possible. But then for now, we also have 11 primary schools. There's 12 junior high schools. There's 11 senior high school and technical and vocational institutions represented here. There are diplomats and other heads of missions represented right here at the Jubilee Park here in Tamale. The regional minister and the regional heads of security services have also taken their seat. I've seen a number of dignitaries, a number of former ministers. The former Minister of Youth and Sports, Ekwa Sena Danswa, has also taken her seat up there.
Ghana, land of freedom, toils of the brave and the sweat of the labor, toils of the brave which have brought results, toils of the brave and the sweat of the labor, toils of the brave which have brought results.
This was the night when all the dust finally settled and all of us heaved a sigh of national relief. We were tired of the oppressor's rule, and we had just been relieved of all forms of leadership that was not from amongst our own. Now we could sing a song of nationalism, the national anthem.
Right, and so we'll show you the full later on in subsequent broadcasts. But in Accra, we understand that the school children, because of the rain, have been moved from the open of the Black Star Square to safety. While in Tamale, they have started marching because it's sunny. It's a sunny and beautiful day in Tamale. And so, indeed, the school children there are marching. In the studio, however, I still have with me Dr. F.W.A. Akufu. He's a senior citizen. He's a medical practitioner as well. We've been talking about his days during independence. But on your screen at the moment is a live picture from Tamale, where the school children have started with their march already. Sunny Tamale. and look at Independence Square, where the school children cannot march. It's only the security services marching at the moment. School children have been moved to a safe area because of the rain. But look at Tamale. Sunny Tamale is on and alive, and the march is on for the school children. Right, so Doc, you were telling us about, unfortunately we couldn't play the full of that documentary and Dr. Kwame Nkrumah's involvement with the UGCC. But you can summarize some of these things for us. Tell us how we got that independence through Kwame Nkrumah.
Good. Nkrumah was a student in the United States, then he became a lecturer there. And there was this UGCC, which was also in Ghana. And I think it was Akmaje who informed them that there is a dynamic man somewhere, and that he could be recalled to come and join the struggle for independence. And when he came, they all saw that he was not only a dramatic but a prolific, factor, and that he could even be a good leader. Yeah. But so they made him a general secretary for the UGCC, and the former UGCC or the real UGCC people looked sounded too slow for Nkrumah, and Nkrumah thought that the pace that they were going and where they were going to, they were going to land as, let us say, to be not freed, but maybe tied up to England. He studied in United States,
right?
And that's why I believe that's how God works. Moses, he went to Egypt. He was part of Egypt. Anybody that God wanted to use, God sends him to a place where he will learn all those things, so that when he comes, he's not only a fighter, but he's a master. He was a lecturer there, so he's a master of this, the situation that exists where the God wants him to go and fight against. And I think that's how it came. Nkrumah, they didn't, what is England? A small country. And I am coming from the United States of America. So how can these people say that they are ruling a country that is also just like the size of England? And that's how the mentality, developed. Because my uncles and so on, they were real civil people. They saw themselves as high above the ordinary Ghanaians, and that they should have let's say, the chance to rule the others. But Nkrumah didn't look at it that way. Nkrumah thought this was a black race as against a white race, and they are just trying to, find ways and means of keeping them. So that's how it came, and that's how Nkrumah also was able to, let's say, exert himself and then push us all along to bring us to for independence. Yeah, I know the first election that they had. I also was a young man, I mean, just from one, that's what you call it. But we all admired how Nkrumah, put up a development plan, and how free education, things like that, and how he was thinking that we should go ahead and make a faster move to have our freedom now. So that was when the word freedom began. And if the civil servants and the lawyers and the judges are talking about slow motion, and somebody is talking about, oh, the this goes for, they won't take this anywhere. We should go even smarter than that. I think we of the youth, we followed him. Yes, and there was a meeting somewhere. I think it's in is it Salt Pond,
I see.
where the one of the chaps rose up and said, no, he was a soldier before, so he rose up and said, this meeting is too dull. So we should take Nkrumah out of the place and make another group with him as the leader. And that's how the CPP started to form.
That's how Kwame Nkrumah broke away from the UGCC to form the CPP.
That's right.
Let's talk about the journey with the CPP.
The journey with the CPP.
With the CPP. What was it like?
It looks as if we've gone quite a first round.
Okay.
Yes, we come to the end of the first round, and we should think about some other models or something, because those people who were with the CPP are all going away. They've all passed away, and it makes the party a bit inactive. Yes, and we were unfortunate that there were some 3 coups. The first coup took away the CPP. The second one brought up the CPP somehow, but the third one seemed to have let's say replaced the CPP with a different kind of dynamism.
Right. And we'll get back into the military interventions along the line. But when Nkrumah broke away from the UGCC, he worked with the CPP in attaining independence. Yes. I'm sure at that time when he broke away from the UGCC, some people thought he was some sort of a tyrant. What were the newspaper reports
from
like?
The UGCC?
From when he broke away from the UGCC?
No.
What were the newspaper reports
how could you think
like?
that somebody who is breaking from a UGCC is a tyrant? He wasn't a tyrant. He was seen to be a man of a different type of mentality. That is the United States mentality as against the British conservative state of rule.
But what were the newspaper headlines like at the point it came out? What were they saying about his breakaway from the UGCC?
It was dynamic. I've forgotten the Catholic name for the youth. Are you a Catholic?
No,
they still use that name. I've forgotten that. Now we are growing old.
What do they do?
No, I mean the same name that the youth, something youth. I think the woman will know.
Right.
That's right. Some why or whatever it is. That
YMCA?
No. YMCA was a Christian thing.
Oh, right.
But I mean, it took most of the youth with it. That the others saw the other group of the UGCC as elderly and careful not to lose their positions in the society. But whilst Nkrumah was daring and he was ready even to go to prison.
And that was good for the youth. A vibrant leader.
That's right.
A vibrant leader. We'll come back to the discussion here in the studio shortly, but let's get speed from the Independence Square.
At this stage, we're expecting to have the drum appellation, which was originally a part of this program. Now, the drum appellation, this is an occasion where His Excellency the President of the Republic is respectfully invited to step forward and deliver his Independence Day address to the nation. We were expecting that this year's drum appellation would be performed by pupils from selected basic schools in Accra, and then the master drummer would be Abuaje Champon of Enumle Junior High School in Okaikwe North Sub-Metro. Then the narrator we were expecting to be Gloria Mensafio of St. Joseph Anglican Junior High School in the Usuklote Sub-Metro, and also Alberta Korte of Agri Junior High School in Okaikwe's North Sub-Metro. The children, remember, were taken through rehearsals by Sarah Bannerman and Sylvia Edumata, both teachers in the Okaikwe's North Sub-Metro, and Mr. Sronipa, the Metro Cultural Coordinator. This was done under the careful supervision of Mr. Freeman A. Aguri, who is Director for Cultural Education Programs at the Ghana Education Service.
I would like to remind viewers that tomorrow, 7th March 2014, is the Military Open Day, and it will be taking place at all military garrisons, where military accoutrements will be displayed for the general public to see, and most of our activities demonstrated for all who will be there.
Right, so that's you see live pictures from the Black Star Square in Accra. The rain has subsided and they are back in the lineup. But let's go over to Tamale now and have a feel of it as well. Right, so that's the match in Tamale. I was telling you earlier, if perhaps you just tuned in to Joynews. It's sunny in Tamale, the exact opposite of what the weather is like here in Accra. And the Zoom kits, I believe, are matching past at the moment. I still have with me Dr. F.W.A. Akufu. He's a senior citizen, also a medical practitioner. And we've been talking about his days during independence. So far, he's told us about the day celebration itself, where he was, and it's been quite a journey for Ghana. It's been quite a journey. Yes. 57 years, yes. and still counting. Yes. And when he broke away from the UGCC, what did the UGCC say? Because in any case, they brought him in.
You see, it was on the verge of forming more parties, and the UGCC, as you know, is more British oriented. So definitely they were also fighting for multi-party system. So they were glad to find that there is a, another formation of a group that could be part of the system. They were sure that those people will be in the minority and that they will be in the opposition until the 1951 local council election that brought the country to this parliament, or I've forgotten the name, but it was sort of parliament. Yeah, that's right, where Nkrumah became leader of government business. And then they saw that they have got a fight. There's now going to be an opposition, and for them, and now that opposition has taken the lead from them. Yeah, unfortunately, because Nkrumah was more or less of, let's say, taking the youth with him. Right. It became more national. Even some of the youth, they didn't even know their language, and they didn't know their hometowns, things like that. So they could go and fight for national, while the others had to go and ask their chiefs and so on what they should do and so forth. So it became a sort of a divided group. Northern People's Party, this party, that party, and they had a lot of, let's say, difficulty in trying to come together and fight against the now CPP.
But in the end, we did get our independence.
Yes.
And 57 years later, look at us. When you came back from Germany to Ghana.
Yes. After the independence,
a
few years later on, we got the Republican status.
In 1960.
Yes, that's right. And that Republican status is usually, let's say, not well observed. But it is the point that Nkrumah wanted to make. That we cannot stay under the British colonial rule in any form. That we should now become matured and cut the umbilical cord from and get away from the British.
And that was the essence of the
Republican status.
I see, but do you see us celebrate it as that?
That's what I'm saying. That's what people forget. This country is still too British.
It's too British. Why do you say that?
Well, I studied in Germany, so when I came back, I saw that the thing was too British, and everything should be British.
What did you see that made it British for you? What did you see?
Well, a few things. If you are from Germany, you notice them straight away. For example, if you don't have a registration office where you register citizens, you haven't started building a nation. That would be the German view. But we are here. You don't have, nobody knows you anywhere. Your name is not written anywhere. You don't have any national ID. And we are in it together, just like the British.
Is that helpful or not?
It's just like when you have a maize farm and you just drop the maize anywhere. You can get maize. But when somebody comes and tells you, look, this maize, you can put them in line, leave space in it, and so on. You find that you get double the product from the maize. That is what is failing here, the basis. Every time they start all the constitution, they say identification. This man should be a Ghanaian. It is an oral Ghanaianship that we still insert. And for somebody who comes from Germany, that's the first thing he notices. No street house numbers. No, so if somebody goes and says that, oh, I'm going to give free something, or all women to come and bring forth free, you wonder what it means.
Cars and books were burnt. It was a message to the other francophone colonies in Africa that this is the price you pay if you go the way of Ghana. But our brothers and sisters in Guinea paid that price, the cost of their freedom to be able to stand in solidarity with Ghana. So it is an honor for me to welcome my friend and brother, His Excellency Professor Alpha Condé, President of the Republic of Guinea, who has traveled to Ghana today to once again stand in solidarity with us. President Alpha Condé, you're warmly welcome. We're very happy to have you today, and Ghana is your home. Our independence is meaningless unless it is linked up with the total liberation of the African continent. President Kwame Nkrumah said shortly after Great Britain's Union Jack was lowered and the Ghana flag was raised. Our independence is meaningless unless it is linked up with the total liberation of Africa. And despite the cost, freedom proved to be an extremely contagious condition. In 1960 alone, 17 African countries gained their independence. My brothers and sisters, what we are celebrating today and what we celebrate on every anniversary of our independence is not just the attainment of freedom. What we are celebrating is what that freedom meant and still means to us and the entire Africa and the world. The door we opened on 6th March 1957 was not just a door to our future. It was not just to our freedom. To countless people across the globe, that door was an opening to the possibility of their own freedom too. This is who we are as Ghanaians. We're able to take what other people consider impossible and make it possible. We are not easily defeated. We are willing to go the full distance in the protection of our country and in service of our dreams. We are a nation with the capacity and the courage to achieve whatever it is we dare to desire, whether it is freedom or democracy or development. And we are willing to work to make that happen. What the rest of the world has long admired about us Ghanaians is that we're a welcoming people. They admire the way we so easily form community and the way we so purposely forge a common sense of unity. It is this tendency towards unity that brings us together. Gas, Adangbes, Guans, Akans, Ewes, Dagombes, all of us together as Ghanaians. Mrs. Theodosia Oko understood this when she designed our national flag, using the three colors that are referred to as the Pan-African colors. Red symbolizing the blood shed by our forefathers and the ultimate price they paid for freedom. Gold symbolizing the riches of our resources, namely gold and other mineral resources. And green symbolizing our lush forests and grasslands. Upon gaining independence, many African nations also adopted these same colors for their national flags, red, yellow, and green. It was a show of solidarity. But there's only one nation whose flag bears the iconic and the original black star. It is the lodestar of African freedom, a star that is used to guide a ship on its course. And that black star is ever present on our national flag to remind us of who we are as Ghanaians and the role that Ghana played and continues to play on the African continent. My brothers and sisters, it is impossible to talk about freedom without also talking about equality. The two go hand in hand. The equality for which our forefathers and foremothers fought extended beyond the collective to the individual. It was their vision that every Ghanaian should be able to live in dignity. It was their vision for every Ghanaian to have access to all the basic tools needed, such as food, shelter, education, and quality health care, to build a decent life for themselves and for their children. This is an ideal we must and will continue working to achieve. Recently, I attended the World Economic Forum in Switzerland, where it was stated by various developmental and social justice organizations that inequality is currently one of the world's biggest global risks. It is a flashpoint for national and social tension. Time and again, we as a people have risen above those things that attempt to divide us. We must continue to be vigilant in our attempts to address the inequalities that face our society. The gap between the rich and the poor must be bridged. All children must have access to quality education, whether they are male or female, or whether they live in the village or they live in a city. Young people must be afforded the skills needed in order to find gainful employment. Proper health care must be available to all our people. These are not just nice statements to stand here and say. These are goals, realistic goals that we must strive every day to meet. Our people's lives depend on it. Ghana's future depends on it. A country without people is nothing more than a piece of land. We cannot afford to leave any of our citizens behind. The more Ghanaians we allow to be left behind, be they women, men, or children, the more likely it is that in the larger scheme of things, our country, Ghana itself, will also be left behind. As I was preparing to leave for Switzerland to attend the World Economic Forum, I received a call from a friend who asked me to bring him back something. What do you want me to bring back to you? I asked him. Some chocolate, he said. Chocolate? I was perplexed because I thought he would ask for something else. And my confusion must have registered through the phone. What is it? I asked. No, the Swiss have the best chocolate in the world, he said. Didn't you know that? I was rushing to the airport, so I hurriedly agreed to bring my friend back the chocolate he had requested. But while I was on the plane, I had some time to think and properly consider his request. I wondered, why should I travel all the way to Switzerland to bring this man chocolate when there's chocolate in Ghana? And furthermore, why should the Swiss have the reputation of being the best chocolate makers in the world when they don't produce cocoa and they don't produce sugar? More than half the cocoa beans used to make Swiss chocolate come from Ghana. And yet the Swiss chocolate industry is one of the most reputable and successful in the world. By the time the flight had arrived in Switzerland, I knew that I, John Dramani Mahama, President of Ghana, one of the world's top producers of cocoa, was not going to spend one single peso on chocolate in that country. On my return, I sent my flustered friend a box of Golden Tree chocolates, proudly made in Ghana, the best chocolate in the world. My brothers and sisters, Ghanaians are some of the most enterprising people in the world. We're smart, we're creative, we're crafty, we have a good business sense, and when put to the test, we are indeed very hardworking. There is no reason why a significant number of the items that we import to use on a daily basis cannot be made right here in Ghana. Just as we purchase products that are proudly Italian, proudly Chinese, proudly Turkish, or proudly South African, there is no reason why we cannot manufacture goods that are proudly Ghanaian. If we are to be truly independent, we cannot allow our destiny to be determined by corporations, industries, or individuals who exist beyond our national borders. And that is precisely what we are doing when the majority of what we consume comes from outside. It is precisely what we're doing when all that we export are raw materials extracted from the earth. The days when our wealth, our very wealth, was based only on natural and mineral resources must be a thing of the past. Yes, it's true God has blessed Ghana richly with gold and bauxite and timber and now oil. But as I have said many times before and will continue to maintain, Ghana's greatest resource is its people. God has blessed us even more richly with talent, innovation, and industriousness. Let us use these God-given gifts to transform this great nation of ours. Many of our previous heads of state saw this potential that exists, this potential that will help us hasten the development of our nation, if only we will begin to place value on ourselves and on what we produce. And so on this occasion, I salute all my predecessors who have worked hard to bring us to this stage. The time has come for us to move Ghana to the next level, and we must work together to be able to achieve this. My brothers and sisters, as Dr. Kwame Nkrumah famously said, we face neither east nor west, we face forward. So in furtherance of these ideas and policies by presidents past, whose motivation it was to move our nation forward, I'm calling for every day to be made a Made in Ghana Day. We should all continue with the practice of putting on national wear introduced by President Kufuor's government. But I'm asking us to go one step further. With every piece of clothing we wear, with every item of food we prepare for our meals, with every single thing we use, let us ask ourselves, how much of this is made in Ghana? And even important, if it was not made in Ghana, let's ask ourselves, could it have been made in Ghana? But if you ask yourself, could it have been made in Ghana? And the answer is yes.
I used to write a lot of articles in the graphic, and pen name F.K. Asante. And I've written, I remember writing about two things. Fufu and the revolution. That's Champong's time during the 1970s.
Right.
And then, you know, things like the chocolate and so on. Yeah. We don't seem to recognize the kind of blessings God has given us. And as a nation, even now, 25 million, we have a market. Formerly, when we were writing these articles, we were 8 million with Sweden. The market was not big. But at 25 million, we have a market.
Right.
And we should make use of our market. Again, I would call on the German.
The German principle.
The German principle. You see all these Mercedes-Benz around and so on. The German market has to be satisfied first before you can export. And so you should have a sort of idea and policy on consumerism. Our country does not have, our economy does not have any consumeric ideas in them.
What will that be?
Consumeric ideas would be, for example, as some of us suggested and being done now, that supposing you have a secondary school, you on the Sunday or some days that the secondary school we think the students would like, you make fufu.
Wow.
With groundnut soup, and put some nice, hen, the leg of a hen on each of the fufu. You say, and then you make them. By the time it used to be 7 years, now it's just 3 years. Also due to some of the mistake of ours, because some of us suggested something, people didn't understand it. That's why it became 3 years before it's
Right. So Doc, I'll let you go on the consumerism.
That's right. So by the time they finish school, if they have used that fufu so much that if they want to have it, then you go. Then you go abroad and make some restaurants with the same thing.
You want some
the people who go there to study and are there, they go to the restaurants to eat that fufu. They will, and some of these pounding machines, we spoke against them, that the powdered fufu will be better than the pounding machine which you take to your kitchen, because the powdered fufu will make a sort of powder that could be developed and to be.
President Mahama, I realize, is leaving the Independence Square. And that means that the event is done.
That's right.
The event itself is done. But it's still Independence Day in the country, and Dr. F.W.A. Akufu is a senior citizen and medical practitioner. He's here with us. You were telling us about this consumerism or consumeric idea.
That's exactly what he was talking about. Our economic thinking should have consumerism as part of what should be taught.
Most of our very indigenous businesses, we can't find them anymore.
Yes, because you don't have any cosmetic idealism taught in our schools and nurtured. Because everybody is thinking about the rice coming from China, or it means that we have not factored any thing that will let the people be interested. Some of our articles included, like, for example, the GTMC having well-dressed ladies wearing GTMC, but I think now a lot of the TVs are following the same thing now, and they are showing how the people are putting on some GTP or something, and that they are all part of the consumerism, and it should be learned.
It should be learned.
It should be learned.
In other words, all is not lost for us.
No, it should be learned, and it should be learned not through the ones who have studied, marketing, but learned by the people who are in school.
Right, from the child.
From the child.
Let's go over to the Black Star Square. My colleague Nia Kofi Smatabe is joining us live from there.
Okay, it's been a rather rainy, how do I call it, Independence Day anniversary here at the Independence Square in Accra. Unfortunately, we had a very colorful contingent on the parade grounds, made up of the various security forces. We had the armed forces, we had the prison service, we had the immigration service, we had personnel from SETS, from the police service. Unfortunately, we couldn't see the very colorful parade we were used to over the years when it comes to 6th March parade. But it is also because of the rains. But I must give it up to the men and women of our security forces. They have been in this hour-plus rain, endured it from start to finish, because the rain started just shortly before the parade itself kicked off. Just when inspected the contingent parade ground, that was when the president also went contingent and stayed on. Behind me now is just the security force. The children have finished the parade, because of course children are vulnerable. This kind of harsh, I can put it that way. Speaking to some of the security personnel around me, they tell me, well, there's one and knows to serve the country in rain or many times, whether it's the sun shining or whether it's raining, they have to do their job to the country. And of course, their commander-in-chief is the reviewing officer for this particular parade. He's been on the parade grounds, inspected the parade already, so you expect that ideally they would throughout the period with him, and they did just that. Stood in the rain for over an hour plus, and right now the president has just left the parade grounds. But whilst the president is leaving, other dignitaries are also leaving. Other dignitaries are also leaving the Independence Square now, and whilst they're doing that, the security forces who have been in the rain for over an hour now are also leaving the parade grounds. They're taking their time off to march off the parade grounds. It would have been a very colorful and exciting parade today, but unfortunately it didn't happen as we had expected because of the rains. But and never in the history of Ghana's independence, as far as I can remember, from the 90s through till now, this is the first time I have seen Independence Day parade being rained off. Okay, it wasn't totally rained off because at least the whole process still went on, except that we didn't get the march past which we were used to. So that's what has been happening here. Whilst the president was speaking, unfortunately, I'm told he spoke at some point. We didn't hear a thing he said because people were just doing their own stuff. People were singing Jama in some of the sheds around the place. The security, the special forces also were, you know, trying to just keep themselves warm, jogging about, singing their own songs so that to keep themselves warm. But I must say again, once again, I doff off my hat to the men and women who stood in the rain for an hour plus just for the sake and the love they have for the country and their promise and pledge to serve this country. They truly did a yeoman's job today, and we doff off our hats to them, and also to the brave school children who had to endure the rain for almost about 30 minutes or so before they also had to leave the parade grounds. We doff off our hats to them as well. And well, this is how we wrap up our live coverage of the 57th Independence Anniversary celebrations, which came to you live from the Black Star Square or the Independence Square in Accra. This has been Joynews' coverage. I'll be doing this together with my colleague Emmanuel in the studio. We started it all off with Kemini in the studio with Mama V and Roland also on location at the Nat Heights, and myself, Nia Matabi, together with Emmanuel, Yafu Soajinfi, Bright Champong, and David McCarthy and Justice Nyamu. We've been here at the Independence Square. We've seen it all, and we hopefully we brought you a comprehensive coverage that got you everything that you probably should have seen if you are in your rooms enjoying the coziness of your room whilst we are in the rain. But that's it for now. We'll hand you back to the studio and then we'll end our coverage for today.
Thank you very much, Smart. I'm sure viewers at home are grateful for your time on our special coverage today. You also defied the rain to report on what's happening, and you also did a yeoman's job. Very soon we'll cross over to Sunnyside Tamale, where Gifty and Apia will be telling us what's the day is like or is ending like there. Right, I understand Gifty isn't ready, so we'll do that in a bit. But in the course of the President's Independence Day speech, he spoke about the fact that we should make every day a Made in Ghana day so that we can consume our Made in Ghana products right here in our own, on our own turf. And that's been the focus of discussion between myself and Dr. F.W.A. Akufu. He is a senior citizen and a medical practitioner. So, Doc, you were telling us about the consumeric idea, and the fact that it's not too late for us. We can learn as a country. How should we instill that in the younger ones?
That's right. I was giving you an example. You are having school feeding program. So people plant cassava and cocoyam and all those things. You decide that you help others to make powder, because if you are going to pound all the foods, you can't have a school program for that. But you turn into powder form, always developing it further, maybe with a little bit of cassava to make it more like the real fufu itself. You give it to the children. The children love it. The companies that will be making the cassava, it cannot be a one company for 25 million people. So you will see that some companies will be growing, also making cassava powder, the fufu powders. Then the fufu powders are sold to the school feeding providers, producers. Then they give the food to the children, the secondary school, everywhere. By the time the child finishes school, if the food is well prepared, he is used to it. And the companies are coming in with more powders. because then we might, I was saying when I was writing this, the Fufu and the Revolution, we were 9 million. Now we are 25. Soon we will be 50. And this is what I'm talking about, 1970. So by the time it gets to 2025 and things like that, we'll be around 50 million. And 50 million is a big market if it was any European country. It's a very, very lucrative market. That is how we're going to, you should be able to, you know, do it.
Is it possible?
For example, say cocoyam, at one time the students will have cocoyam fried. It is well grilled, I mean well lined like the cocoa, to potato thing. Well chipped and then fried, given to the children. They will love to eat cocoyam. And they will always
instead
want
of always feeding them rice. And
by the time they finish it from school, the people planting cocoyam will be so happy. Even some of them will be making, also companies that will be chipping the cocoyam and putting them into some kind of cellophane or whatever bags, and then that is how the consumer is saying. It should be made very serious and then well pursued, because we are a market now. We shouldn't be afraid. We are a market. If you sew your cloth and it is well sewn and everybody likes it, and you've seen it on the television, some good film star is wearing it, maybe you can even steal it into these in Nigerian films where somebody's wearing it, say this cloth, this shirt was made here. You have a chance of selling 12 million or 10 million from the shirt. It is what is happening. We went on this family planning, and now everybody is envying China, because China is getting to 2 billion, and even the social security of China, some of them, the social security money will be needed, say, in 50 years' time. That is what is now frightening America, because the social security money of about 1 billion people in China today, if translated into dollars, it's more than whatever money America will ever get. But at least we are 25, and we should make use of it.
Well, one of the things the NCCE is doing is the introduction of citizen education in school as a way of, like the president wants to instill the sense of patriotism in our younger ones. Is it a way of doing it? I sometimes feel that if people are to write exams on certain things, they only learn for the purpose of the exam and forget it.
You see that I've been dodging your patriotism question all the time, because I see patriotism in Ghana as being able to speak good English. Education in Ghana, as good education in Ghana, it means being able to speak English. You know, as I was telling you, I don't say the English language is a bad language, because it's a language that God has created to be a global language, whether we like it or not. But if I hear that the first exam to be had in this our secondary school or whatever it is now is the way to speak English. How do you call it?
Oral English.
They call it another thing. What is
it? Linguistics?
No, the way that oral English, the English itself is spoken.
I'm not sure I have an idea.
There's a word for it. That is the subject matter. But if that were to be in India, nobody will pass the school exams. Because the Indians cannot even be made to pronounce anything that looks like an Oxford kind of. So we don't carry that thing too too much. Because apart from, I've told you about consumerism, we have another economy that is not being treated here at all. That is capital flight. We don't hear of consumerism in this country's economy. And you don't hear of capital flight in this country's economy. And these two things are the things that make us look stupid. We don't, I observe you from outside, not because you as not patriotic, if you are not speaking P and, ever, and things like that. I would think that one of the things to do is that from primary school, from very, very young, kindergarten, you start teaching 5 languages. And the 5 languages, when in the British sense, when they say go and teach in 5 languages, you see them teaching all sort of things. 20 words in Ebe, 20 words in Hausa, 20 words in Ghana, say for the first 2 years or 3 years at school, and then adding another 20 years and adding another 20 words. That will make about 100, which will have 100 words in Ghana. You are a Ghana already.
You probably know how to speak a lot of.
You are a Ghana already. And if it was taken that you take five languages, it's just a simple thing. One whole year you've learned 20 words.
Right, Doc, we'll come back. Let's go to sunny side Tamale now.
Of the 57th independence celebration of Ghana. And as I speak with you now, you can hear in the background, it is a wrap-up over here. The Regional Minister Zidin has delivered his speech in which he calls for unity in patriotism and for people to feel a sense of responsibility as part of the governance, so that everything is not left to authorities, but that everybody should be involved as we build a nation. Now the parade will wrap up. We'll wrap up with the activities there, and then that should be the end for us here at the Jubilee Park. There have also been a lot of dignitaries out there. It's rather difficult to get any of them to respond to us in any with any answers. Of course, we have some questions to find out. 57 years of independence, what is there to celebrate really? And have we come thus far to speak about celebrating our successes? And as we wrap up, let me remind you that there has been 8 contingents on this parade coming from all the security agencies. We had people from the Ghana Air Force, we had people from the Ghana Armed Forces, we had people from the Ghana National Fire Service and also the Ghana Police Service, as well as members of school cadets. There were 11 primary schools represented here. There were 12 junior high schools and 11 senior high and technical vocational schools. Of course, the special schools were also well represented. So,
the VIPs who are in attendance today, can we please keep standing? Wherever you are, let us please keep standing.
So let's quickly wrap up. As we wrap up, we'll leave you with the rest of the ceremony that you can see in the background. The minister and the other and his entourage are about to leave. So as we wrap up, I have been Gifty and Apia coming to you live from the Jubilee Park in Tamale, where we wrap up the 57th independence celebration in the northern region. Many thanks for your time.
Absolutely, Gifty. We are grateful for that report throughout the Independence Day parade at the Jubilee Park in Tamale. But here in the studio, my name is K.O.D. and I'm still here with Dr. F.W.A. Akufu, who is a senior citizen and medical practitioner. So, Doc, you were telling us about how to make the children learn about 5 languages from the start. 5 languages
from the start, and very simple. You don't go and start learning about how, the way we we do here. That we have then the exams in the school set, and you have to write. Some of the subjects you don't have to write
exams.
So you can write exams, but I mean such simple things that will make us be sure that you have really learned everything.
Right.
Before you left school. You have learned Hausa before you left school. You have learned Ga before you left school. That's where the patriotism now is going to come from.
Right.
You get what I mean?
Yeah.
First of all, I talked about patriotism, about sharing the money 10% into each district. And then your 10% of your money will be sent to the district where you live, but where you don't come from.
Right.
So the people who are also living there know that you are also contributing to their development. So that is some small patriotism. Then you come, and the food that is being done to, it is the consummeric patriotism. And then this one is the language patriotism. Then you become really solid and patriotic. Because when
you can stand tall and say you're a patriot.
You go to Canada, and people are, worried about you. You say, hey, let's go. And then you would not even talk in P. You'll be talking in Ga. Charlie, you see, that kind of... we want to establish a nation. We want to have you registered in our office as a member. When you don't register your name, you never existed in the world.
Right.
Because you died, and then nobody heard of you. But that registration we have put in the paper there.
Doc, is that different from what we would probably do with the birth and death registry?
Oh, don't forget about the birth and death. If you were born in Tamale and you had your birth certificate in some kind of and you died in, say, Takrade, what is birth and death about it? That's what we coming from Germany are worried. Because birth, you are registered there in Tamale. Wherever you have a number, a national number, which will never change. And then you come to live in Takrade. Takrade too, you have a residential number. So you have two IDs. You always put them together.
Right.
So when you die in Takrade, they will quote these two numbers and it will take them to Tamale. And then so that you know that you are dead. But here there's one.
It's not true.
No.
And we end up
you don't even know who was dead. You are missing something again, and you have changed your name.
Right. Doc, let's look at the significance of the march past we usually do. Why do we have to do that? Because a lot of young people...
The march past,
yes.
Unfortunately for me, I was, during a champion's time, taking the salute in Tema. So you don't have to.
Right, so is it really important?
Well, I was the one taking care of the district there. So,
and you were taking all the salutes.
Yes,
and so for you, it's important that we do that.
I think it is part of the, let us say, we should have responsibility, right? And I would have loved it if we would add that one to. I think I have a hand in all this national. Whatever the students when they go, they have a 1 year something national
service.
National service. I can bring you papers and articles like that about national service. And I was thinking that the national service has been ordered by God, and which the Israelites are using, is a responsibility to show that, look, whatever the thin or thick, we will all go and I was thinking that it should be an initial military service. Okay. Achampon tried it, and I think some students wanted there and said they would be making a cruise soon.
Even
they stopped.
Even now, some time ago, it was announced.
Those people who are doing it in the NPP, they all know where it comes from. So it is a national service, but it should be on initially military stages. And depending upon what we want to do, we can have a committee, say Christian, Muslim, so and so, so a committee that will design what should be done there. And I believe strongly that one of the things that we can do with the national service is that we know that the best market that we have for our soil is bent bricks. If you will recognize my Tema district, we had bent bricks under the McCarthy Hill there, which was bought by, I think, December 1st. Then we had Redco. Unfortunately, our Tema district was starting from Botiano Beach to Tema. And I thought it was too much. So we fought for it to be changed to Tema. And then, but you could see that there were some bent bricks houses built somewhere in Accra here. These should be well managed and well designed.
Right.
And it can be done through, let's say, the national service thing, so that the national service, you start with the army, then you go and build for the rural areas houses, and then you can have some farms.
And that is our sense of responsibility.
And then after within the 2 years you are finished with your service, when you come, you will feel more patriotic. Wow. I was a member of the Voluntary Work Camp Association. As a leader in the Ashanti region. I went from Udumasi to Presec, and I thought the tech chaps should be the leaders. But when they voted, over some of the leaders there, so we took it like that. But you should have that responsibility in your head. And then all that I'm talking about, if you have finished it, you feel this is now Ghana.
Right.
I am in it. The way the Germans will feel, you see. But if you say patriotism,
because you have actually done something.
Patriotism, because you're supposing one day when something, excuse me, say, I hope it will never happen. But say one of these dams, like let's call it the Achampon Dam. That's what
that one is abstract.
And the Kusi, no, it's not. Achampon built a dam in Kusi. He didn't ask anybody any money from anywhere. He built a dam in Kusi. But I'm talking about Achampon is the one most not liked. So let us name his dam got best. And it's water all over the place. We should be able to marshal people to go to the Volta region and stop any carnage. You get me? That is the patriotism I would have liked built here, not the patriotic that you can.
It will just march past
and speak English.
But you've also taken some of the salutes before.
And speak English, yes.
You've taken some of the salutes. You've taken the salutes before. Yes. So on this day, as we reflect, I mean, we've seen responsibility, but as we reflect, what lessons must we draw from years past?
We are going, as the music went, we are going. Heaven knows where we are going. It pains me that I think the level of discussion is sometimes too narrow, so that a few people who could be called in not usually called in, and it degenerates into some kind of house of vogue protocol politics, NPP. Then the discussions, the discussion is not very, let's say, honestly done, because you are, whilst the fellow is talking, you are looking at him as a supporter of house of vogue. So his argument will be somewhere, and then the other one, supporter is Kotoko. So I'm sure that one, that will be something like that. I believe we are going. The country is moving, and I'm sure things will come up. The others are being trained in Germany, and so they may get somewhere. But we all pray to God. Maybe someday one chap would say that, hey, let me go and do this program, or even create another party so that you know, they can talk about other things other than the fact that somebody could not speak good English, so he's not well educated, or it's not, the education that he had was not a good one.
Right. Thank you very much, Dr. Akufu. I'm glad we had you in our studio today. We're totally grateful for your time. We've been speaking to Dr. F.W.A. Akufu. We've been across the regions. We've seen the event here in Accra. We've seen it in Tamale. And this has been our special coverage of the Independence Day in Ghana. 57 years of independence. And who said there are no patriots in Ghana? We defied the rain to be there for the country. But as Dr. Akufu has said, the most important thing that you're a patriot at heart and you have indeed done something for the country. Ponder over that. I'll see you on News Today at midday. In the meantime, stay on for CNBC's Power Lunch. My name is Kemini Nyamani Amano.